Hi, this is Take the Mic with Felix. Today we'll be answering the question, is leadership a vocation or a profession? So right now, go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe, put in your comments if you have any, and let's go. A follower's commitment to the leader is not a given. If you have watched our former videos, you will see that we talked about how leaders are committed to followers and vice versa. But that commitment is not a given. So let me give you this example. An employee may like his job. The pay may be very good. He doesn't have a problem with the pay. Yet, he or she may not be committed to the organization. We have seen it. I worked in an organization once where we had somebody he comes to work anytime he likes, he just vanishes. He didn't feel committed to the organization. Of course, he liked the job and he liked the pay. But he was not committed because every time you look for him, he was somewhere else doing jobs for other people. This is somebody who likes the job, likes the pay, but was not committed to the organization. And that's why I'm saying that commitment of a follower to the leader is not a given. While some leaders may outrightly demand such commitment, others may not. Because when a leader starts prescribing, legislating commitment, it becomes a problem. And that's why we see in a lot of organizations that a lot of staff of organizations are complying. They are not committed, they just comply with whatever they are asked to do. So commitment must be there in all its ramification for a follower to be said to have committed to follow the leader and therefore provide his own part of the leadership equation. All leaders will, however, need to take a cue from the scriptures. Romans chapter 13 verse 1 says it this way: there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Now let's look at this. The synonym for the word establish is ordain. And you know the kind of people that are ordained. You ordain a minister. You ordain a pastor. Now, another synonym for ordain simply means a call or a vocation as opposed to a profession. Therefore, leadership is about vocation, not profession. Of course, it doesn't mean that people don't practice it, at a professional level and things like that. But leadership in its true form is given by God, because God is the giver of all authority. And what is authority? Power of influence. When you have authority, you have the power to influence. The implication of this is that we cannot choose vocation. Especially people who are ministers, no. I'm talking of ministers within the Christian circles, they know. You can't just wake up and choose yourself and say, I have now become Reverend this, Bishop this, and that. There has to be a call. So we do not choose our vocation, but our vocation is given to us. Now, with this vocation come not just authority, but ability, intensity, and passion. An expert once said this, that vocation is where the deep gladness of the leader meets the world's greatest need. Now, when you are talking about deep gladness of somebody, you cannot make yourself glad. I mean, you can choose to be happy, but gladness obviously comes from God. So when that deep gladness meets needs somewhere, then you know that you are walking within a vocational setting. So vocation is different from profession. Profession is what you do when you consider leadership as a paid employment. So you are doing it, at the end of the month, you get paid. You take your salary, and of course, if for any reason the salary level is no longer taking you home, like we say, you jump ship. That's not leadership. A true leadership stays with the followers, even if the ship is sinking. It is a process. It has rules. It is about earning a living. And on the other hand, vocation is a calling. Like I said, except God calls you, you go into leadership position, you'll be setting yourself up to fail. And we see a lot of that in society today. We see it in organizations. People force their ways into positions of power or into positions of leadership. They were not called to lead. And so you start wondering, but why is this person? We thought he was a good leader. How come he's leading the organization and the organization is doing not so well? Or, this person is a president, is a governor, but it's like every action he's taking doesn't seem to be going well. Sometimes even the well-meaning actions seem to lead to a problem. Every policy decision leads to a protest. Every pronouncement leads to a demonstration. So it becomes difficult to understand why the person is having so much problem. One simple answer to that is that person wasn't called. That person has decided to call himself or has decided to see leadership as something you take for yourself. And when you take it for yourself, you will fail. If leaders see and accept leadership as a calling, there will be gladness. There will be authority, and there will be excitement in the leader-follower relationship. If the leader is excited about leading, the follower will be excited with the leader. One of the things I always say is that when you see two people in one place, their meeting is not happenstance. God doesn't bring people together by accident. When two people come together, God has brought them together for a purpose. God doesn't do things by mistake or in error or by accident. So when two people come together, it has been orchestrated by God. The leader-follower engagement is an opportunity God created. In one of our videos, I did say that leadership is an interaction. The leader interacting with the follower interacting with the leader and other followers. Therefore, we see that whatever relationships people have come into, it is because God has orchestrated it. So, like I said, that leader-follower engagement is an opportunity that God created. And God did not provide an opportunity for two people to engage in a relationship that will not be beneficial to both of them. Now, let me throw more light on this. When a leader meets a follower, God has determined it in such a way that the leader is blessed, the follower is blessed. Now, if one of them is not blessed, there's a problem. Chances are that maybe the leader wasn't called, or the follower was not even called to follow that leader. Because you could be following the wrong person. I know in Nigeria now there's that saying that follow the person when no road. Now the person when no road is that person who God has called, because the truth is, if God calls the leader, God will be leading the leader so that the leader can lead aright the people that follow. So it becomes a winning combination for the person. So God brings people together with the right gifts, the right abilities, and the right passion to accomplish His will. That is the will of God, not the will of man. I mean, every time anything happens and there's a God factor in it, there's something that God wants to achieve. And in the process, whoever God has used to achieve His will, the person doesn't go unblessed. The person will be blessed. It's like a funnel. When you use a funnel to pour oil from a bigger container into a smaller container, what happens is that the funnel becomes like the leader, taking from God, the big container, and pouring into this person, the small container. Guess what? The leader is blessed because when you use a funnel to transfer oil, there will be oil left on the funnel. The funnel will not be dry when you finish transferring that oil. So God created this relationship so that as He leads the leader and the leader leads the follower is blessed because there's a deposit in him. The leader is also blessed because when God transferred that oil, let's use that oil, through him, through the follower, oil is left in the funnel. So he too is blessed, he too benefits. Before we finish, I want to talk about the characteristics of vocation. And there are 4 characteristics of vocation that are identifiable. The first one is that the person is called for a special purpose. The call will be specific because a non-specific call will amount to providing somebody with a position but not providing him with the tools to do the work. It's like recruiting somebody in a company. You bring the person in, but you do not give the person the tools to do his work. How can the person achieve his purpose? Second, the person has special gifts. When God calls a person, He provides special gifts needed to accomplish the task. It's like a soldier. When somebody joins the army, the country provides all the person needs. The uniform, the boots, the gun, the bullets. No soldier goes to war on his own account. So if God calls you, He will provide all you need. Third, there is the sense of the presence of the caller. And in this case, we know that the caller is God. This implies that the leader who sees his leadership as a calling will always be conscious of the presence of God. Consequently, such a leader will see leadership as a vehicle to worship God with the special gifts that God has given him or her. If followers see leadership as worship, they will become more devoted to the leader. And lastly, when a leader sees leadership as a vocation, it leads him to a life of sacrifice and a life of faith. It is therefore imperative that a leader must, and I say that again, a leader must have a sense of calling. Vocation is the calling one hears from the beginning, which is the result of biblical spirituality. It is not a goal one pursues. True leaders must therefore see leadership as a divine call for God's service, considering all and utilizing all the gifts that God has bestowed on you for His purpose. Don't forget to smash the like button, like, subscribe, and send your questions if you have any. Don't forget, this is Take the Mic with Felix.